Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs is facing more time behind bars, with his release now pushed back to June 2028, a month later than initially expected. While Diddy has long had a reputation as a ruthless operator who capitalizes on every opportunity, new claims from Jaguar Wright suggest he may have been operating on a whole other level of manipulation and exploitation. It's almost hard to fathom. If he was capable of these kinds of schemes before amassing his billions, the current scope of his influence is truly alarming. During the courtroom exchanges, Derek exclaimed, "This is illegal," while pointing fingers at Combs, Kim L., Worthy, and others allegedly involved. The gravity of the accusations hung in the air, but the judge's response was chilling in its casualness. "Gotta pay the bills somehow." The statement underscored a stark tension between legal procedure and the perception of power, leaving observers questioning how far wealth and influence can bend the rules in high-profile cases. If Jaguar Wright's account is to be believed, Sean Diddy Combs was involved in a shocking incident all the way back in 1997, one that went to court but somehow never made headlines. According to her, the case was quietly buried by government officials, shielding Diddy from scrutiny. Why would the system protect someone accused of serious wrongdoing? Could it be that Diddy was acting as a federal informant who went off the rails? Jaguar claimed that authorities wanted to pressure her to see if she'd break under the weight of the story, but she welcomed the scrutiny, determined to set the record straight. Jaguar traced everything back to a case from 1998 involving a man named Derek Lee Cardillo Smith, who allegedly spent 28 years behind bars for crimes he didn't commit. She revealed that the legal files showed Derek as the defendant in an incident concerning a man named Carl Bishop. But the bombshell was that the documents also implicated Diddy as a suspect in a related matter involving both Derek and Carl. According to Jaguar, the case files included medical reports, incident reports, and other official documentation pointing directly to Diddy's involvement. She explained that the evidence suggested Derek had been framed, with mishandled paperwork and influential figures turning a blind eye. At one point in court, Derek himself pleaded, asserting that he had only defended himself and a woman, and that he was being wrongfully persecuted. The judge, in a stunning moment, acknowledged Derek's claim and officially stated that he had been framed, yet still sent him back into custody, with Kim L. Worthy's involvement noted as part of the approval chain. Jaguar made it clear she had uploaded copies of the documents to safeguard the records in case the originals were compromised. The implications were chilling. DNA tests reportedly tied Diddy directly to the case, establishing him as more than a peripheral figure. He was listed as a responsible party. Derek's repeated protests of innocence were dismissed, with him exclaiming, "This is illegal," and Sean Combs, Kim L. Worthy are all behind this, Your Honor. You're just sitting there. The judge's response, "Gotta pay the bills somehow," followed by Kim Worthy's "Amen," highlighted a system seemingly complicit in protecting power over delivering justice. Jaguar emphasized that this was not a minor incident. It occurred in Detroit during the late 90s and reportedly set the tone for decades of manipulation. She pointed out that even as Diddy faced arrests and lawsuits later in life, the shadow of this case lingered. One lawsuit emerged where an inmate successfully won against Diddy, but Jaguar stressed that this was an exception, not the rule. According to her, the documents, including DNA evidence, firmly tied Diddy to wrongdoing, revealing a level of corruption and cover-up that few could have imagined. The situation with Sean Diddy Combs is far from straightforward, and, according to insiders, it's bigger than most people realize. Sources suggest that Diddy was actually an investor in Bad Boys, and over the decades, Derek Lee Cardillo Smith, his alleged victim, has been systematically kept in prison, effectively cutting off what might have been owed to him. By some accounts, Derek is entitled to nearly half of whatever Diddy's empire has generated over the last 30 years, roughly 49%, on top of the $100 million judgment he already won. The more you dig, the more it seems like the public trials we've seen could have been a smokescreen, designed to obscure the real story. The transcripts from 1998, sealed and only partially unsealed in 2007, sat quietly in the clerk's office for years, buried under different names and case numbers, practically invisible to anyone looking. It's a system that was clearly engineered to keep people from discovering the truth. Jaguar Wright pointed out that even Diddy's legal team might have played a role in the behind-the-scenes maneuvering. One lawyer, Mark Agnillo or Agnafilla, who publicly defended Diddy and painted him as a reformed figure deserving of fanfare, was simultaneously negotiating privately with Derek and, allegedly, Diddy himself, using aliases to obscure his identity. In 2024, Diddy reportedly visited Derek in jail under the name John Smith, ensuring no one would recognize him. This all happened just days before federal authorities raided his properties, adding another layer of intrigue. Jaguar described this as a rabbit hole, one of many, where every discovery only led to more questions about corruption, influence, and cover-ups spanning decades. Now, the latest developments in prison have added even more complications. Reports indicate that Diddy's release date has been pushed from May 2028 to June 2028, partly due to alleged violations inside the facility. Rumors surfaced that he was drinking in prison and making unauthorized three-way phone calls. While Diddy's representative, Judah Angelmere, insisted that the phone call involved a lawyer bringing in a third party and was technically permissible, the very act of it violated standard prison protocol. As for the alleged drinking, Angelmere confirmed that Diddy is enrolled in a specialized rehab program at Fort Dix, which, if successful, could actually shorten his sentence. Still, any infractions, even rumored ones, can have severe consequences in the Bureau of Prisons. In the prison system, violations like drinking are treated with extreme seriousness. Since 2020, the Bureau of Prisons classifies such behavior as one of the gravest offenses, with penalties comparable to violent crimes in terms of custodial consequences. If found guilty, Diddy could be sent to the Special Housing Unit, the Hole, lose privileges, and forfeit at least 40 days of earned time credits, directly affecting his release date. In short, while some see legal victories or rehab participation as signs of progress, the backdrop of decades-long disputes, alleged cover-ups, and ongoing scrutiny from the justice system means Diddy's path to freedom remains far from certain. The combination of historical lawsuits, alleged manipulation of court records, and prison infractions has created a scenario where even the smallest misstep could prolong his time behind bars. Things around Sean Diddy Combs just keep getting more complicated. According to reports, Diddy has told people he's working on a book, which could open a whole new set of legal headaches. In New York, the son of Sam law prevents convicted criminals from profiting off the stories of their crimes. If Diddy tries to monetize his experiences, he could be stepping into dangerous territory. It's hard to say whether this is callous planning on his part or just impulsive behavior, but either way, it's risky. What makes it even more baffling is that Diddy reportedly violated prison rules almost immediately after entering Fort Dix, just 2 weeks in. Remember, he had made such a big deal about wanting to get into that facility, presumably to reduce his 50-month sentence. Yet here, he is allegedly flouting the rules after telling the judge, tearfully, "I want to do good. I'm sober. I want to go home to my family." If Diddy is indeed seeking a pardon from former President Trump, his alleged behavior in prison could seriously undermine those efforts. After all, Trump has been vocal about disliking drinking and substance abuse, particularly given his personal family history. Meanwhile, the legal drama isn't confined to the courtroom or prison walls. Inside sources suggest a looming battle over Diddy's $400 million fortune. His 7 children are reportedly hiring attorneys, aiming to secure control of his wealth and potentially wrest it from his 85-year-old mother, Janice Combs, who is said to be sharp, determined, and unwilling to back down. Back in March, reports surfaced about Diddy's kids spending lavishly while he remained locked up in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, without bail. Experts note that with Diddy incarcerated, protecting his assets should be a priority, but with Janice allegedly playing hardball, the situation could get even messier. Jaguar Wright has also fueled speculation by claiming that Janice isn't Diddy's biological mother, suggesting instead that she might actually be his aunt. The whispers around Harlem add another layer of intrigue to an already tangled story. Dapper Dan weighed in, saying he grew up with Diddy's parents and that much of the chaos surrounding him has roots long before Diddy himself rose to fame. According to sources, Diddy's father had a criminal background and was involved with the government in questionable ways, adding yet another historical thread to this complex narrative. Family dynamics aside, Diddy's professional circle is under scrutiny too. Cassie, once closely linked to Diddy and Bad Boy, reportedly tried to assert independence after leaving him. While she had a brief music career, insiders note that every time she recorded in the studio, whether with Kid Cudi, Ghostface, or other collaborators, those sessions were serious business. These weren't casual projects. Each song had financial and promotional weight behind it, showing how closely Diddy managed his label's assets and talent. Cassie's collaborations, though sometimes perceived as minor, weren't free. Industry sources suggest some of these studio efforts were worth upwards of $200,000 per track. Taken together, Diddy's legal battles, family disputes, and questions over his professional dealings paint a picture of a man navigating high-stakes problems on multiple fronts. Between potential son of Sam issues, prison infractions, and his family maneuvering around his fortune, it's clear that the coming months could be even more turbulent than what we've already seen. People weren't feeling her. She had the looks, sure, but she was under someone else's roof, living with her mom or her boyfriend, and that puts you at a disadvantage. You can't move freely in someone else's house. You're on edge the moment you wake up. Every step, every move, every little thing you do is under scrutiny. It's your lowest point. You're constantly aware of where you are, what you're doing, and how it might be perceived. Castillo explained that when you're in that position, you're exposed, vulnerable, and walking on eggshells. Meanwhile, on the other side, Diddy had no control over the outside world. He could only sit back, wait, and see how things unfolded while he served his time. But inside prison, he seemed to be making the most of it. Castillo, a former cellmate, described Diddy as a humble, grounded man, stripped of his celebrity persona. Once the glitz faded, he acted like any other person in MDC, respectful, focused on self-improvement, and genuinely willing to help others. According to Castillo, he interacted with Diddy daily, as they shared the same housing unit. Diddy wasn't the type to impose himself on everyone, but if someone approached him for advice, he gave it wholeheartedly. He prioritized helping others over anything else, showing a dedication that Castillo says earned his admiration. He always gave 100% of himself, Castillo said. He would set things aside to help others. At first, some inmates were hesitant to engage, wary of seeming like groupies. But over time, everyone came to realize that Diddy was human, one of them just living the same confined life. Growing up in New York, many of the inmates knew of Diddy as a cultural icon, but seeing him day to day, they witnessed a different side. Approachable, grounded, and real. Castillo also revealed that Diddy started something unprecedented inside MDC, a business and leadership class. Castillo served as his teaching assistant, helping with assignments, note-taking, and guiding new inmates. What made the program revolutionary was how it broke down the usual prison segregation: black inmates, white inmates, Spanish-speaking inmates, even gang members, all in the same room, learning together. Diddy was teaching practical business skills, goal setting, planning, and strategies for life after prison. He stressed lessons about discipline, mindset, commitment, and sacrifice. Successful people do what unsuccessful people won't do. He'd remind the class, reinforcing that consistency and hard work are non-negotiable. The focus wasn't just on following in his footsteps, but on helping inmates believe in themselves and chart their own path. Yet, life inside MDC Brooklyn remained brutal. Castillo described it as one of the most dangerous places imaginable, with rampant violence, rivalries, and people serving decades-long sentences. Death was a constant presence, and hopelessness hung over the facility like a shadow. Some inmates were serving life, while others faced 30-year stretches. It was a war zone in many ways, but even in that environment, Diddy found a way to teach, lead, and inspire, proving that even in confinement, influence and leadership could thrive. When you're facing that kind of environment, there's really nothing to lose, and that makes it extremely dangerous. MDC is no joke. Castillo says it's a place where lives are on the line every day. He considers himself lucky to have made it out, having witnessed firsthand inmates losing their lives while Diddy was behind bars. The atmosphere is tense, with gang violence, lockdowns, and constant monitoring creating a pressure cooker of risk and unpredictability. Interestingly, Diddy wasn't given any treatment. Castillo emphasizes that despite his celebrity status, Diddy was just another inmate, subject to the same routines, restrictions, and dangers as everyone else. He dealt with cold trays, strict lockdowns, and the constant watch of correctional officers, navigating the same hardships as the other men in the unit. Any notion of favoritism, Castillo says, simply didn't exist. Given all that, questions arise about recent developments, with reports of Diddy allegedly drinking, making unauthorized phone calls, and even facing attacks inside prison. It seems the system might no longer be looking out for him. Could this be a shift in how authorities are handling him, signaling that his sentence could be extended? The situation leaves a lot to unpack, and it begs the question, has the internal line shifted, and is Diddy now fully subject to the same risks as everyone else? What do you think? Are the guards holding him to the same rules as other inmates now, or is there more at play behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts in the comments.